Hi there, welcome back to the College Town Podcast. On this week on the podcast, we recap everything from Week 3 games to talk about Derek's picks, how you did in fiduciary school, recap it. We talk about Jim Harbaugh and what he had to say about the NCAA and how he's on a war path against the NCAA. Mention Iowa State's coach getting into a little tussle with the fan. Also mention our pick'ems for this week. So stay tuned and watch it with us.
And subscribe.
Absolutely.
We want money. Subscribe.
All right. See you guys in the show.
The biggest games, Colorado? Just because everyone watches Colorado?
If you stayed up late enough to watch them.
A lot of people did.
Really?
The ratings on like every Colorado game is through the roof.
It makes sense.
It's insane. I stayed up pretty late to watch that game.
Really? There you go.
I stayed up late to have it on in the background. And then my body told me, like, you can't do this anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So I went to bed with Colorado down 11.
Oh, wow.
They came back and won in double overtime, I think.
Yep, double OT, they came back and won.
Yeah.
Did lose Travis Hunter in that game, though.
Yeah, they lost him early. They had him out basically the entire game.
Yeah. And it appears that he's going to be out for multiple weeks.
They've already said he's out for 3 games, at least.
At least 3 games?
Mm-hmm.
Do they say what the cause was? I know it was a big hit on him, but I don't know what the cause of injury was.
If they did say it, I don't remember. But
Yeah,
that was that massive hit.
Yeah.
That not illegal, but super dirty hit.
Right.
Could have been illegal. I don't know. Ref could have called it.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. Other big games. We got Florida over Tennessee.
I know you're buzzing.
I'm so excited about that.
Is it more because I was wrong or more so you were right?
It's a little bit of both, I think. So Florida beat Tennessee 29-16 at the Swamp.
Yeah.
I don't think either of those teams are that good.
Right.
I just don't.
Fair enough.
And in our rankings, we have a playoff ranking.
Yep. Follow us on Instagram.
It's on our Instagram. I kept moving Tennessee down further and further. You kept moving them up and up, and then they lost, which just was fantastic to me to be able to just drop them completely from my ranking.
Yeah.
Because I don't think either Tennessee or Florida are that good this year.
I think they're definitely, I'm still convinced they're a top 25 team. Easy.
I think Tennessee's got the talent to become a top 25 team later in the year. They have not looked good this year.
Yeah.
If UTSA were 3-0 right now, I would put Tennessee on upset alert again. But UTSA has also been bad.
Very bad. Frank Harris was out last game for them.
Real bad pick for my portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into that, though.
We'll talk about that later.
What do you call it? Missouri rushing the field against, 16th, 15th ranked Kansas State?
15th ranked Kansas State.
Why are we rushing the field against 15th ranked Kansas State?
Because it was a crazy kick. I don't know.
Why are we rushing the field? It's Kansas State. It's not like a blue. You know what I mean?
It's a top 15 win.
Right, but
it's a good win.
I think that shows more about where Missouri's at than where Kansas State's at.
Yeah. I would agree with that. If you rush the field, I think it typically it signifies how you view that win.
Is it bad that I kind of understand more why Colorado rushes the field against Nebraska rather than
No, I think that does.
Because of just how bad they've been in the past.
Yeah, and how good they are now.
Right.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Honestly, I don't know. Let them rush the field. Unless you're rushing the field when you're beating an FCS school, or like someone like that low. It's like, both of them make sense to me. That was a big game, crazy game
way
winner.
To win it, yeah.
Which, interestingly enough, that was the 61-yard kick from Missouri. That is now the longest field goal in SEC history. It is not the longest field goal in Missouri history.
Really?
Missouri had hit a longer field goal than that, but they were not a member of the SEC when they hit it.
Makes
so
sense.
It's not an SEC record.
Right.
I think it might be a Big 12 record. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
But
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Other games.
Florida State was pretty close versus Boston College.
Florida State played a real tight game against a bad Boston College team.
To be fair to them, I feel like Boston College is a tough place to play in a way.
Why?
Because it's not much of an atmosphere going on. There's not much of a game-like atmosphere in Boston College. It's not.
That makes it tough?
Yeah.
How?
Because I feel like there's two ends of the pendulum and both can swing both ways. It's one thing if you're just like middle of the road, have like a decent fan base, and like it's not a hard place to play because it's just fans are there, and like you're accustomed to that. I feel like as a player, you're accustomed to fans in the audience and all that stuff. Whereas like, and then there's the hard places to play where the fans get real loud. And you can't hear play calls. It's hard to call them in. You have to be on silent snap count. Makes the offense more difficult, stuff like that. And then I feel like there's all the way on the other end where it's just like almost deathly quiet, and you're just not used to that. I think it's just a whole another world of an environment, if you will. Not saying Boston College is a tough place to play. I'm just saying it's an alternate place to play. If you get the gist.
I
know
what you're saying. I still don't agree.
Fair enough.
I don't think Boston College is a tough place to play.
Okay, let me rephrase. I don't think it's a tough place to play. I think it's a different place to play, which can cause some issues.
Sure. Sure, athletes are creatures of habit, but like, I don't know. I would still rather play at Boston College than at LSU or Penn State.
1,000%. I'd much rather be on the quiet side of the pendulum than you are on a silent count. It's impossible to hear and being in Death Valley or whatever.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Some other close games. Alabama looked real bad.
Yeah.
Against South Florida.
Why is Alabama playing at South Florida to begin with?
Why not? I think the way I look at it, it's like why I think teams should do more home and homes, even if it's not a team that's like,
I'm just trying to think of like
super on your level.
A program of Alabama. What's the benefit of playing that game?
You got to schedule people. I'm getting to it. You got to schedule people. I'm not just giving
you got to have 12 teams to play.
A jerk answer. Well, bozo, you got to play football games.
You got to have 12 teams.
But so you got to schedule people. If you're someone at Alabama's stature, it's pretty hard to get someone like an Oklahoma State to put you on their schedule. You can get a Texas because that's going to be a big game. It's mutually beneficial, especially if you're Texas and you think you have a chance to win that game,
right?
Like they did this year. But it's going to be harder to get those
mid-major programs, if you will.
Not even mid-major. It's just like
middle of the road, like borderline top 25, like your 15s to 30s.
Sure, yeah, those teams. I would say even lower than that,
like a 10, or like higher up, as in like 40s and
like 40s. Yeah,
I gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But so it's hard to get those schools to play you, and then so what you got to do instead is you got to like play a South Florida, play a UMass, or you got to pay them a bunch of money to play them. The thing is, it's probably a lot cheaper to pay South Florida to play them if you were playing them at South Florida. And so why not do a home and home?
Part of me is like, why don't you just pay them and then they travel to you, and then you also reap the gate receipts and the benefits of the concessions and all those other aspects? Why pay a team to then go play there? The only benefit I could see is like Saban was doing some recruiting where it's like, hey, come to this, like they were doing this recruit's doing an unofficial visit at the University of South Florida that week, but it's really not for South Florida he's visiting.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that makes sense to me for why they go down there.
That could be a reason. That could be a legit reason, too.
Well, that's like the only reason. It really doesn't make sense to me why you would pay a team to play at their place and then, just from a financial perspective, of missing out on all the gate receipts, concessions, and everything else. And then also not also welcoming. It's another week where you can't welcome recruits to your program and show them what you have to offer. That's the only reason. It's got to be there was some recruits down there that he wanted to see, and that was one of the ways that he was able to do it.
Maybe it could have also just been cheaper to pay South Florida to play you.
Maybe.
If you go to South Florida.
Right.
Another game that was... Well, actually, let's stay on Alabama for a second because they got a quarterback controversy, which is fun.
A bit. I didn't get
great for us.
I mean, I didn't get to see the transfer play. He came from Notre Dame?
Yeah, Tyler Buckner.
Yeah, I didn't get to see him play and how he did, but I know they moved off of Jalen Milroe.
Yeah. So they benched Jalen Milroe for this game.
Right.
Started Tyler Buckner, who was at Notre Dame. Alabama's offensive coordinator is Tommy Rees, former Notre Dame quarterback, who was also Notre Dame's offensive coordinator last year.
Oh.
And so that's why I thought going into the season that that Tyler Buckner would start the year at quarterback.
Because he would
just because there's some familiarity with the system, yeah.
Right.
Jalen Milroe, of course, started. Didn't look that good.
Right.
You know, just didn't look that good. Tyler Buckner looked even worse.
Really?
Looked terrible.
Wow.
He got benched in the first half, not for Jalen Milroe, but for Ty Simpson, a freshman. Ty Simpson looked better than Tyler Buckner, still didn't look great.
Right.
And so that's like Saban has said that all three quarterbacks are being considered, which means he's going to play all of them 5 times so that he burns a redshirt year.
There you go.
And so that none of them can transfer in middle of the season or whatever, yeah. Like Saban does. He does that. It's very annoying to me. Very despicable, if you ask me.
Is this going to be like the poor man carousel that he had in the past with Hurts and Tua?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll ask you this. Who do you think is going to come out on top when it's week 12 and they need a win to make the SEC championship game? Who's he go with?
Probably Jalen Milroe.
Really?
I mean, just from the small sample size we got, Tyler Buckner is not the guy.
No.
He is not the guy.
Man.
The offenses looked best under Milroe and Simpson. But Simpson obviously has a higher ceiling, considering he's a freshman. Milroe has some familiarity with the team, and he's a much better runner, I think.
Seems like a pretty good athlete.
Yeah, he's a decent runner. Had 2 rushing touchdowns in Alabama's first game.
Right.
Along with 3 passing touchdowns. But, I don't know. Alabama's not going to be playing for an SEC title this year, I don't think.
You don't think so?
I think I was dead wrong about them.
So you think LSU's in front of them?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think LSU's in front of them.
Is Ole Miss?
Ole Miss is a team to watch out for. Who else is in the West?
Arkansas.
Auburn. Arkansas.
Yeah.
I mean, Auburn's 3-0.
Yeah.
Arkansas's 2-1.
That could be some fun games coming up.
Yeah, I don't think.
I believe they have Ole Miss this week.
They play Ole Miss this week. Yep.
Yeah.
It's in our pick'em.
It sure is.
But yeah, Alabama, I'm pretty scared for them this year.
Right.
Yeah. Another team that honestly I'm a little scared for is Georgia.
Really?
Georgia won 24-14 against South Carolina.
Yeah.
They were down 14-3 going into half.
Yeah.
They kind of they did what they needed to do in the second half. Did a lot of it on the ground, I think. Georgia's not what they were last year.
They're not the powerhouse.
They're still good. They're still Georgia, but they're not the same. I think I'm calling it now. I think they're going to lose a game in the regular season.
They're not. Okay, so they're not putting away teams that they should be putting away, you're saying? Are they playing with their food a little too much?
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't watched enough. I don't know if it's just that they lost too much from last year, or if they're just what you said, they're playing with their food, they're getting too cocky. I don't know what it is, but they're clearly not the same team. I think it's going to come back to bite them at some point this year before the postseason rolls around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, Michigan, you don't really have a great idea because Harbaugh has not been coaching.
Right.
He's about to come back for his first game, but he has not coached any of these games. So Michigan has not looked impressive first 3 weeks, but they haven't had Harbaugh. Florida State obviously just had that hiccup against Boston College.
Still find a way to pull it out.
Yeah.
Same with Georgia. I do think this year there isn't the standalone team where it's okay, this is the team to beat. I don't think we have that this year.
No.
Which can make it for a very exciting season. I definitely, when you look at these teams, I'm there's not one single team where I look at and I go, that's the team to beat. That's obviously your front runner. Where it's I think the door is wide open for who these 4 teams are to make the playoffs. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. It's parity is obviously very good.
Yeah.
Because college football of all sports has very little parity. Very little parity.
Yep. For the longest time, it was a Big Ten, 2 SECs, and Clemson.
Yeah. But the playoff expanding is at least giving the appearance of parity. College basketball doesn't have that much parity either.
Yes and no.
I mean, yeah, I know. Yes and no. I said it doesn't have that much parity.
Right. I get what you're saying.
When the tournament starts, you're okay, there's about 8 teams that can win it.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I think I would say the majority of years, there's 8 teams. But because there's this 68-team tournament, everyone's we got a shot. Even though it's no, you don't, Fairleigh Dickinson.
But you do. But you don't.
I was just...
There's a reason why you hang a Final Four banner and you don't only hang a national championship banner.
What are you talking about? You hang a national championship banner?
No, that's what I'm saying. Didn't I say that? What I'm saying is there's a reason why you hang a Final Four banner and not just a national championship.
Oh, you said not just. Okay.
Yeah, not just.
I thought you said...
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, we made the Final Four and won national championship. Final Four banners going up. We don't need national championship banner going up.
Yeah, no.
What's the deal?
I mean, schools, they do put up Sweet 16, Elite 8 banners.
Right.
Tournament appearance banners. Yeah, but... And that's because it is very difficult. There's not as much parity as people think, but there's this illusion of parity. College football doesn't really have that. It absolutely did at the beginning of the playoff, but that's kind of fizzled away. It's coming back a little bit next year, I think, with the 12-team playoff, because that's going to be more oh, all right, 12 teams get in. Let's see what happens. When ultimately, I think it's going to be more of the same, but it's better.
How's that bracket work? Do the first 4 teams get buys?
Yes, first 4 team get. It's like the old NFL playoffs.
Oh, okay.
4 teams get buys. The 8 teams below them are going to get seeded.
Duke it out.
The first round games, wild card, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's going to end up being called, but those games are going to be home games for whoever's a higher seed in the matchups.
That'll be cool.
Those games are going to be crazy environments.
They're going to be electric.
Yeah. Imagine Michigan having a home game against, I don't know, Oklahoma State.
In December.
Yeah. That is going to be wild.
Of course it will be.
Especially, so it's the 12-team playoff. If you're including 12 teams, and there's going to be guaranteed at least one Group of 5 team. As of now, it could be 2, but they're probably going to rework the wording of the playoff system because it originally had accounted for the Pac-12 being a power conference.
Oh.
And that's going to die soon. Or it's already dead in its, former glory, basically.
Right.
But, so currently it's the top 6 seeded conference champions get a bid to the playoffs, and then it's 6 at-large bids. So
refresh me of the 6.
6 at-large bids?
No, the other way.
The 6, it's just 6, whoever the 6 highest seeded conference champions are. It can be any conference, but it's going to be, what it's going to be is all the power conferences and then whatever's left. Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, has said he wants to change how it's worded now. He wants it to be the top 5 conference champions and then 7 at-large bids, obviously because he wants more SEC schools in.
Makes sense.
So that they can get more money. But if it doesn't change, and I really don't want it to, then that's going to be the 4 power conferences plus 2 Group of 5 conference champions.
So that'd
be awesome.
So that would probably be like the American
most likely, and then wild card.
Yeah. Golly, that'd be interesting.
That would be great. That would be fantastic. I would love that. Because imagine like
a Boise State?
Yes, Boise State. That's a great example. If Boise State made the playoff, that place would be the craziest it has ever been in their entire history. I don't know if you watched a couple of years ago.
You would have to still be a top 8 seed, though, to get a home game. If you're 9 through 12, you're not going to be a home game.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago when Cincinnati made the playoff.
They did.
Which, quick side note, they just lost to Miami of Ohio for the first time in 16 years. I bet they're really happy with Scott Satterfield now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what happens when you lose a
go Cards.
So what happens when you lose a top coach and replace him with Satterfield?
Yeah. Anyway, Cincinnati played Houston for the American Conference Championship a couple years ago when the playoff was on the line. Cincinnati was like, they were there. They were already seeded top 4. They understood, like, okay, if we win this, we're going to the playoff.
We're in, yeah.
And the way the American does it, they don't have a set venue for their conference championship games. It's just whoever the highest seeded person in the conference is.
So it was in Cincinnati.
It was at Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati, and that place was buzzing. Oh my God, that was a it ended up being a blowout because Cincinnati was just so amped, and they're also a very good team that year. They were just like so up for that game. The atmosphere was raucous, and that was for a chance to be in the playoff. Imagine if it is a playoff team, if it is a playoff game. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Be great, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I just think about, like, the non-Power 5 teams that have been there, have been close. Like, I look back, like, Cincinnati is an example that I thought of. The other example I thought of was when UCF went undefeated and beat Auburn.
Yeah, and then they left them out of the playoff for whatever reason.
No, that was their bowl game. Auburn.
They went undefeated and they left them out of the playoff.
They sure did, and they beat Auburn.
Ridiculous.
Then they went to Disney and celebrated their national championship because to them they won the national championship. Which, fair play. You went undefeated.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares?
Who cares? He's a fuck guy.
Yeah, I mean, there have definitely been teams like in the past from the Group of 5 that have every right to say, like, well, you didn't even give us a chance.
Right.
We could have pulled off an upset. Like Louisville, there's been 2 years where Louisville was really, really good when they weren't in a power conference.
Mm-hmm.
And absolutely could have played for a national championship. I think those years are 2006 and 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Louisville was so good those years. In 06 specifically, if you ask anyone around Louisville, they'll tell you we would have beat Ohio State that year. They were garbage. They were not good, and we were very good.
Right.
And so, but the thing is, and I know Louisville lost to Rutgers, but Rutgers was a top 10 team. That was a top 10 matchup.
Right.
And
are you talking 06 or 13?
06.
Okay.
13 Louisville lost to Central Florida, actually.
That's right, yeah.
The Golden Knights. But because Louisville had lost to the number 10th ranked team in the country at the time, but wasn't in a power conference, and that being their only loss, they booted them, didn't even give them a chance for the national championship. And now with 12 teams, there's going to be more of a chance. There's going to be more of that, like, okay, well, let's go out and prove it. Well, it's really, it's pads to pads. Let's see who's better.
And here's another interesting one for you. If it was happening this year, there's one team I could think of that could be like that.
Who?
Tulane. Tulane could definitely run the table in their conference.
Yeah. I mean, once they get Pratt back, their quarterback, they're going to be very good.
Right. And I think, I definitely wouldn't consider them for the playoff at all at this point because they lost to Ole Miss in poor fashion. But it's also like that is a team where it's like, with the new rules and being, if they run the table and it's the top 6 conferences and you're one of the top programs, you make it. Tulane could have a possibility of making the playoff if it was structured the way it is for this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I know people have gone back and looked at what the playoff teams would be if it were just 12 teams from the beginning.
Right.
And it's really interesting to see because, you just get a lot of the same teams every year that make the playoff. It's like, oh, you got Clemson in there. You got Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan.
You could throw
Oregon, Florida State.
Way back,
Oklahoma. Texas never made the playoff.
Right, I'm just saying way back.
But since the playoff, it really has been a lot of the same teams.
Like the same 10, 11 teams, yeah.
If you go back and look who would have been in the 12-team playoff, it's really interesting to see because there's a year Indiana would have been in the 12-team playoff. That not crazy?
It is.
Indiana's a terrible football program.
Yeah.
But it's parity is good. Parity is good for a sport.
It's exciting.
And I think there's going to be a lot of parity this year, even without the 12-team playoff, and that's why I'm excited going forward.
Well, your Giants are looking like they can be slaughtered this year. So it's like
Yeah, it doesn't there's no sacred cows, if you will.
It's like if we were to go off of right now, I'm saying it's out of the Pac-12 for me. It's like Washington. Washington looks the best right now.
If we're going off of just what I've seen right now,
it's
probably Washington and USC in there.
Yeah,
and then
Texas.
What, Texas, Florida State?
Yeah, maybe
with Georgia, Michigan, or Notre Dame.
Notre Dame looks good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that's we're just talking right now.
Well,
there's 3 teams. Yeah, but there's 3 teams that we're oh, they're on the outside looking in.
I mean, but it's also for the first time, it's you're not just saying okay, who wins the SEC championship in Georgia and Alabama, and do both of them make it? It's for the first time you're okay, Alabama lost early. Georgia looks vulnerable.
Yeah, Alabama lost early and still looks bad.
Right.
It's a fun year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right.
You want to get into the news for the week?
Yeah, let's talk about the news for the week. All right. Is the Jim Harbaugh news, is that new? Or is that old?
Nope. That's what he was talking about.
That's new? He's still talking about it?
He's still firing away.
God, I love Jim Harbaugh. What happened? I love this man so much now.
The man keeps firing, keeps giving takes.
He's like the Beatles, man. It's hit after hit.
It's a hit piece is what it is. He's going after the NCAA and won't stop.
Good. God, I
basically,
love it.
To sum it up short, Jim Harbaugh was in a press conference and called for revenue sharing with athletes, basically criticizing the NCAA. And he said, when student athletes call it a game, corporate types call it a business. When student athletes call it a business, corporate types call it a game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with it.
Well, it's hard to argue because everything he said is 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Yeah. Free Harbaugh, man.
He will be free.
My man Harbaugh.
Are you just becoming a Michigan fan slowly but surely this year because of this?
Slowly but surely becoming a Harbaugh fan. Yeah, honestly. Look, if there's no chance that Louisville can win the national championship this year, I'm going for Michigan.
All right.
I'm going for Michigan.
You already like his brother a lot, I know.
Well, yeah, go Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bengals lost, by the way. I know there's a college show, but Ravens beat the Bengals.
Yeah. Cincinnati boy here, Baltimore person there.
Yeah. Neither of us are from those cities, but you know.
Yeah, we got roots.
I have 0 roots in Baltimore.
Really?
No.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just pick the teams.
Oh. No.
I liked Ed Reed.
Fair enough.
And then when I was younger, I thought the Orioles were the Oreos. I thought that was hilarious. And then when I found out that it was a bird, I was too committed.
But they just happen to be in the same city?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, but
anyway,
I love Jim Harbaugh. God. Yeah. You know another. Okay, so this actually relates to another news story.
Sure.
Because this happened last week. It happened after we recorded, so we couldn't talk about it. Yeah. But Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss are being sued by a former player. I can't remember his first name. I think his last name is Rollins. A former player for Ole Miss had been kicked off the team because he went to one of his position coaches and said, "Hey, I got to take a sabbatical for mental health. I got to take a mental health break. I can't just keep doing this. I got to take care of me." And so he told his position coach. He never told Lane Kiffin.
DeSanto Rollins,
yeah. He never told Lane Kiffin personally, which I think he should have done that. At the very least, the position coach should have said, "Hey, man, that's fine. Take your time off. That's okay. Go tell Coach Kiffin. Just go tell Coach Kiffin, and you're good. You'll get the time." But he didn't do that. But also at the same time, it's we don't understand the story. We don't know why he was going through mental health struggles. I know he had a lot of injuries. He was coming off a concussion the year before. That can play into it. Also, part of the reason could have been Lane Kiffin. So that could have been why he didn't want to tell Lane Kiffin.
Didn't want to approach Lane Kiffin because... Gotcha.
And if that's the case, then he should have told the position coach that, and the position coach should have told Lane Kiffin. I don't know who the blame is on there. There should have been more communication, but I don't know who to blame, so I'm not even going to touch that. Basically, he took his a 2-week break. Lane Kiffin was trying to get in contact with him for a long time to talk about it, and he just wouldn't reach out to him. And then eventually he did meet with Lane Kiffin, but when he met with Lane Kiffin, he turned on his voice recorder on his phone, just put it in his pocket, and just recorded the message, which is legal in Mississippi. You only need to have one-party consent to do that.
Gotcha.
And obviously he was the one party. And so the transcript, Lane Kiffin is yelling at him. And Lane Kiffin is very verbally abusive in this. It's pretty rough. But one of the things that he says, he's you have to tell your boss when you take time off. And so Lane Kiffin is already viewing football as this is your job, I'm your boss.
Right.
At the same time, Lane Kiffin is I don't like NIL, I don't like transfer portal. It's well, no, that's just giving people the same autonomy that you have in your job. Yet, he doesn't want them to be paid like it's a job, but he wants them to treat it like it's a job.
Sounds like the old adage of a boss wanting his employees to go above and beyond what's expected of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they're trying to play both sides of the coin, and then Harbaugh's out here just pay them.
Yeah.
Give them their money.
Oh, I love you, Jim.
It's either a business or it's not a business. Pick one.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think he is on a warpath with the NCAA, and I
yeah.
love that because I hate the NCAA. I hate Charlie Baker.
I feel like you say it once an episode.
Because I hate him. I hate him. This man's been in my consciousness for like, what, less than a year? Or however long he's been in charge of the NCAA. I already hate him. I hate him so much. Indianapolis, just an average city. It's a slightly bigger, slightly worse version of Louisville. It's like Cincinnati. Don't get me wrong, Cincinnati's fine. But like, no one from Cincinnati's watching right now. We're good. 6 people watch a show. We're fine. What I'm saying is, the NCAA sucks.
Cincinnati's catching strays over here.
They really are.
Like, what did they do?
I don't know.
I got family from there, man.
Cool, so do I.
It's a great...
I got family in Indianapolis, too. I don't know.
Golly.
But it's just like, part of it is probably he's on a warpath with the NCAA, which that's the only valiant war out there. All of the other wars are bad. That's the only good one. Part of this could also be because, like, going through the pipelines in the court system right now is a lawsuit against the NCAA about players engaging in revenue sharing. And the current track record of the NCAA is they have been just getting waxed by judges and lawyers. They are losing so many court cases and so many appeals when they have a long history of winning them, but they're losing a lot right now.
Well, I also think the tides have started to change on the aspects of like, oh yeah, an education is definitely worth. You go to school and the way you get an education is you play the sport. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, holy crap, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
These people deserve a cut because that's who these people are coming to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and like $13,000 a year worth of an education is not equivalent to what you're producing. And so I think he sees that that's going through the court, and he knows that it's going to get passed. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court's going to rule against the NCAA. Because Brett Kavanaugh already suggested when they ruled in Alston v. NCAA that, like, hey, you wouldn't go to McDonald's and tell them that they can't get any money because they have to work for the love of the game. And he basically dared anyone. He's like, send more our way. Like, we're going to rule against the NCAA. Mm-hmm. Like, this is an illegal practice.
Right.
And so I think he's seen that, and he's like, all right, I might as well get on the right side of history now. You know, as opposed to all these other coaches that pre-NIL were like, NIL's bad. It's going to corrupt the youth. And then even now, you got Lane Kiffin, Mr. Mental Health himself, going like, oh, NIL's bad. NIL makes people entitled. It's like, sure. Sure it does, Mr. $9 million a year. He needs all $9 million so that he can live in rural Mississippi. It's an expensive state.
You bet your ass it is.
Boy, inflation's really inflation's really taking a hold in.
I think it might be
whatever town in Mississippi.
I think it might be one of the cheapest states to live in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because the state generates no money. Sorry to all the people in Mississippi
who are watching this.
Yeah, because no one in Cincinnati watches, but a lot a people in Mississippi do.
Oh, yeah. You know it.
Yeah, but...
You got any other strays you want to hand out while we're at it?
That's not a stray. I mean, that was a fact.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Golly. Yeah.
No, this is like...
Oh, I agree 100% with everything you're saying.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really have too much to comment on.
Yeah, and then like, also another story connected to this. Dartmouth's men's basketball team.
Where is Dartmouth? Just help
It is in New Hampshire.
Appreciate
it's an Ivy League school in New Hampshire.
Gotcha.
Don't quote me on this, but I think it's southern New Hampshire. Not that it makes a difference in a lot of people's minds, but Anyway,
It's a pretty small state.
Dr. Seuss went there.
Noted.
Yeah. Anyway.
He was a piece of shit.
Yeah, he was.
That was a side story. Dr. Seuss got strays.
Good.
Yeah. Cheated on his wife with dying cancer. But that's beside the point.
Yeah. Look. Dr. Seuss doesn't need to catch any strays. I will go straight to his grave with an AK and I'll just start spraying him.
One fish, two fish, blue fish.
One fish, two fish, red blicky, blue blicky. Anyway.
What's your gun sound noise?
Bruh, bruh.
All right. So, Dartmouth's basketball program.
Yeah, Dartmouth's men's basketball team has taken official steps to try and unionize.
Whoa.
Yeah. So now all three of these stories, that's called journalistic magic. They're all related now. Because they're getting ahead of the curve, just like our beloved king, Jim Harbaugh. And they're like, we're going to unionize now. We're going to do it now so that when revenue sharing is a thing, we're already good.
Now, was this the college program who's saying, like, we're doing this, or was it, like, the team? Do we know
I think it's
where
the team.
The source where it's like, yeah, nothing like getting these Ivy school kids together and they're like, you know what, we should union this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the team and not Dartmouth itself.
No, I mean, like, there are some good places to work out there where they brought in the union. They're like, the union will be good for us.
Yeah.
So they do it.
I know back in maybe 2015, I think. I'm not sure exactly when. Northwestern's football team tried to unionize to no success.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. But they were probably hazed out of doing it. So you can't really blame them. Right. Dartmouth's got a better chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The purple haze up there in Chicago. Evanston.
Yeah.
All right. Other news. This
Did you watch that video?
No, I did not have the time to watch the Iowa State video.
It's just Coach Campbell is basically being yelled at by a fan and tries to confront him during the game. Like at halftime.
At halftime?
It was either at halftime or at the end of the game.
Huh.
It is
I mean, they did lose 10-7 to Ohio. I mean, between losing to Ohio and now confronting a fan.
Well, he didn't really get the chance to confront him.
Trying to. Clearly. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's getting held back by players and coaches. He is trying to exchange some words with that man.
Oh, absolutely.
But so between losing to Ohio and that, his seat has got to be on fire right now. It has got to be on fire. Now, Iowa State doesn't really have a history of football, so it's like, okay, are they gonna let go of him?
Well, it's also like same with Northwestern. Northwestern went 1-11 last year and kept their coach. It's like, where's the line for these coaches, and like do you keep to get rid of them? Like,
I mean, it all depends on the school's expectations, you know, because a school that has history, you're not going to put up with. You're not putting up with a middling coach, you know. No. Like, Nebraska fired their head coach because he couldn't win more than 9 games. And then now look where they are.
They're with a struggling Matt Rule team, which is expected.
They got their first win this weekend, but
1-2
versus NC State, who I seem to bash every single episode.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I really don't know why.
You're really on this.
Just the first one that popped in my head. The ceiling for an NC State team, they never seem to do worse than 7-5. They never seem to do better than 9-3. That's fine for NC State. If you can just stay relevant enough, if you're NC State, that's fine. For a Nebraska, that's not fine.
Well, it's also like with like Iowa State, I feel like they're happy to make a bowl game.
Exactly. Iowa State has virtually no history.
Right. So it's like you're happy to make a bowl game, but it's like is a 5-7 season really that bad?
I mean, it depends. I mean, there's context to a 5-7 season.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like
1,000%.
how did you get to that 5-7, but also
how did the team look while you were doing it?
What were the seasons before? Is that your first year in your 5-7?
Yeah, like, are you building something?
Yeah. Or is that your first year in your 5-7 after inheriting an 11-3 team the year before?
Yeah.
You know? So there's definitely nuance to it, but I think for a school like, I think it's more so than just on the field for Iowa State, because the whole gambling thing, the whole wanting to confront a fan.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Forgot about the gambling issues
Yeah, they got
in Iowa.
Yeah, they've got like 8 players out for the year basically because of gambling.
Yeah.
And so one of them being their starting quarterback, another I think being their starting running back maybe.
Yeah. The quarterback video was crazy.
Yeah, but so I don't know. It feels like to me his seat's gonna be hot.
Yeah.
I'm not calling for anyone's job. But he also is quite wealthy at this point. Yeah. Unless he's made bad investments, he's quite wealthy.
Maybe he gambled it all away.
He might have. He might have. He might have just been like every single week in the locker room. He's like, guys, I'm going to do a parlay.
A 9-leg. Need you to hit the over tonight.
Yeah. I'm taking soup and sandwich to win the Kentucky Derby. And also I'm taking the A's to cover the spread.
Oh my god.
And I'm taking Ohtani to last more than half the year.
Oh man.
This is how your money makes money. This is how you get your money to work for you, kids.
This is what we call an investment.
If he's betting on if he's betting anything positive on the A's, his seat should have been hot from the moment he downloaded DraftKings or whatever platform he's using. Riverbet, whatever is popular in Iowa. Was it Bet Rivers maybe? There's a lot of regionality to sports books.
Really?
Yeah. It's not a mature enough industry, and it's also not like it hasn't been legal long enough.
Mm.
It's still not legal federally. So
10 days away from here, it being legal in the apps.
Yeah, sports gambling is still legal. You just got to go do it in person in Kentucky, which is weird.
Very.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of like, if you look at like a map of like, it's one thing to just look at like general market share of like, oh, it looks like FanDuel and DraftKings are the biggest, because they are the biggest. But also,
they couldn't merge together because it would be considered a monopoly.
Yeah,
that happened.
But like, there's a lot of regionality to it right now, just because it's so fresh, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Churchill Downs is gonna try to become a regional player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's nor here nor there.
Yeah.
When it comes to
anyway,
what we're talking about.
We got any other news?
No, not really.
Well, I got one thing I would like to mention.
Go for it.
Through 3 games, Iowa's currently averaging 28.3 points per game.
What does he have to average?
25. Brian Ferentz has got to average 25 points to save his job.
That's going to be rough.
He's there, though. He's got it right now.
But he's not going to have that through the Big Ten onslaught that he has ahead of him.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that.
There's no way with this offense, they're going to, because they basically have to maintain that 28 to stay afloat. There's no way.
We'll see. We shall see.
All right.
You got any meetings? Appointments?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah. I need to talk to my fiduciary advisor.
Well,
You went to fiduciary school.
I did. I sure did. I went to an unaccredited fiduciary school. Taught personally. I was personally mentored by yours truly, Warren Buffett.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Bernie Madoff gave a speech one time, but
with a good old, you did decent. I feel like this is going to be your average. Is your +4s?
Yeah.
You had a +6, which was nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now we're back to these +4s.
Yeah. So recap of how I'm doing. I had UTSA, Maryland, Kentucky, Louisville, Fresno State, and TCU. UTSA lost.
You held on to them.
Well, it was Army. I thought they were going to beat Army.
A glorified high school team, you said.
That is what I texted you. Yeah. Hoorah. It's the Marines. Hoorah.
Hoorah.
Look. I thought Frank Harris would play. I'm going to be honest.
He was in a boot. I watched
He
them.
sure was in a boot.
He was in a boot, hobbling down that sideline, cheering them on.
But hey, look, you live, you learn. They're not all Apple.
Hopefully, we've learned to sell.
They're not all
UTSA.
Berkshire Hathaway, which was a graduation present from fiduciary school.
Might I add, this is the only team that has caused you losses so far.
Yeah.
Everyone else has been spot on hits.
Those, gosh darn, I wouldn't say spot on hits. I've had some scares. I've had some real scares.
A win is a win. Last time I checked.
That is true. You are what your record says you are, and what I am is +14 on the year after 3 weeks. Well, let's get into the movement here, because boy, oh boy, these hips don't lie.
Just to help you on the recap, UTSA lost to Army 29-37. Maryland beat Virginia 42-14. Very good win for you. Kentucky versus EKU. Kentucky won 35-3. Louisville won 21-14 against Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also got Fresno State versus Arizona State, 129-0. And then TCU versus Houston. TCU won 36-13.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct, Mr. Game Show host.
So what is the movement for this week?
Well, the movement, first we've got the holds. And let me tell you, you know them, you love them. It's your University of Louisville Cardinals. Go Cards, baby. We got Boston College this week.
You sure do.
Boston
3:30
College.
kickoff.
Yeah.
At the new named L&N Football Stadium.
It's L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium.
It's
No
very
one calls it
exciting
that.
name.
Let's call it the station, because why not? It's the station.
No, it's called Cardinal Stadium as far as I'm concerned.
Well, is that an old train station? Well, so let's call it the station.
It's at the station.
Yeah. Look, the game's at the station this week.
You're going to get that to hit? You're gonna
Yeah,
get
no,
that
it'll
to
hit.
home?
The people in Mississippi will pick up on it.
Fair enough.
So, Boston College. I don't care. I don't care how close those Jesuits played.
The mighty Florida State.
The mighty Seminoles.
Mm-hmm.
They're still garbage.
Oh.
They're still awful.
So it's not per se Louisville's good. It's just Boston College stinks.
Well, you know what? I think Louisville still needs to build on some things. You can see my real thoughts on the Louisville Cardinal school newspaper.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Oh, I have no shame about it. You are right about that, sir. But, you know, Louisville still needs to work on some things. Boston College is just that team. Boston College is that team where you work out the kinks, because they suck.
I remember when that team... I had PTSD from Boston College.
Yeah.
I remember 2 years ago watching A.J. Dillon run all over
That was
us.
not 2 years ago. That was more than 2 years ago.
Oh, fair enough.
That was like 2017.
Oh, gosh, time flies. I'm getting old. A.J.
You're
Dillon's
not.
been in the league for that long?
Yeah. Well, he was a freshman then.
Oh.
That was his freshman year.
Well, that man is good.
Yeah, and they figured out with us how good he was.
I think he ran like 200-something yards.
He did.
Yeah.
But Boston College, easy win. NC State, we'll see. We'll see. Notre Dame, tough game, but it's at the station. It's at the station. And guess what? Jeff Brom used to be the coach of the Spoiler Makers. So maybe he's got some Spoiler Maker magic in him. Yes. And then after that, we got Pitt, who has not looked good to start the year.
To be fair, you can sell this team whenever you want. You don't have to hold on to them.
I just like to give people the 4-week look.
Forecast?
Yeah. I like to give my clients a prospectus.
Or perspectives.
Yes.
So,
yes.
in all honesty, thinking, when is your indication to sell this team, if at all?
Look, the skies are blue and they're full of cardinal birds right now, okay? So, look, life is good. We're 3-0 for the first time since Lamar Jackson's Heisman year.
There you go.
I'm feeling good. I'm not selling yet.
Okay.
Another team I'm not selling.
Another hold for you?
Is Fresno State, the Bulldogs.
Man, do they look good. And am I kind of surprised they're not ranked?
I'm not surprised yet. They're a Group of 5 team that wasn't ranked last year. Right. It's going to take until several weeks in for them to get ranked.
They beat 3 Power 5 schools, though. It's been
They have beat 2.
Oh, my bad.
That Washington State game is their bowl game last year.
My bad.
Yes.
Eastern Washington is not a Power 5 school.
It is not as an FCS school. But
is this a team you see riding off into sunset with?
We'll see. We'll see what that sunset is. And we'll see how quickly that sun sets. Up next, we got Kent State, Nevada, who hasn't even won a game yet, Wyoming.
A decent Wyoming
team. Looks a little more solid than I thought they would.
Yeah,
and then Utah State, who is hot trash. Give me the Bulldogs, okay? Give me the Canines all day long. All the way home to Fresno. Next, we've got your very own Maryland Terrapins. Turtles, if you will. They're just turtles. You can call them turtles. They're playing Michigan State this week. Michigan State doesn't even have a head coach.
That is correct.
Certainly didn't have a head coach that knew how to treat women.
Yeah?
Yeah. They're going to roll that game.
There you go.
After that, they've got Indiana. Good defense. Not that good elsewhere. Then they've got Ohio State. Yikes. And then Illinois.
That was good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Look, I mean, you want money. You go to Congress. That's where D.C. is. I mean, you know what I meant to say.
I was like, it's...
D.C. is in Congress.
Yeah, and Maryland's just outside of D.C.
It's in the DMV. It's in the DMV. All right? These rich men north of Richmond, they're making me very rich. Okay?
Okay.
And that, I am holding on with a vice grip to Maryland, even if they do start games slow.
He's hopping on that turtle's back.
Yes, I'm hopping on that shell. Finally, we got TCU. I'm holding on to them. So despite how horny those frogs are. I'm holding on to them. They got SMU, future ACC school. They got West Virginia, tried to get in the ACC when Texas and Oklahoma left. That's true. They very much tried. They were not successful, though.
And they beat a good ACC team in Pittsburgh.
I don't know if Pittsburgh's good. I think I might have overranked them to start the year. But
fair enough.
After that, they've got Iowa State. If that coach isn't arrested for illegal gambling or assault by that time, or isn't just outright fired, it doesn't matter. TCU's going to win that game.
Coach Campbell's on the hot seat.
BYU. Mm-hmm. Louisville's playing the Jesuits. In several weeks, TCU, Texas Christian University, is going to meet the Mormon University in Brigham Young.
Yeah.
That's going to be, talk about a holy war.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's going to be a lot of sinning going on at that game.
Fighting over the fatherland.
Yes. Yes.
There you go.
Finally, we're going to get to the cells.
Who are we saying goodbye to?
Well, first, UTSA.
I saw this one coming.
They've done nothing but disappoint me.
They've hurt you.
I put my faith in them. And they stabbed me right in the back.
All buys can't be winners.
But all sells are lessons.
Which bring new hope with new buys.
Yes. New buys bring new money.
And who's that new money?
Oh, it's the newest of new money. We've got, I'm going to go just for the joke, App State.
App State.
That's right.
Appalachian
State. They are sitting at 2-1 on the year. But
with that one loss being in overtime to UNC.
In double overtime, I believe.
Yep.
To North Carolina. Chapel Hill. Next, they've got Wyoming.
That could be a tough one.
It could be. It's at Wyoming.
It's a very risky pick there, if I do say so myself.
Well, I'm feeling confident.
There you go.
And then they've got Louisiana Monroe.
Those are the two you have to hold for.
That is true, and I'm feeling good about it.
There we go.
After that, they've got Coastal Carolina and Old Dominion.
How about that?
Two teams that are not cakewalks. I can tell you that much for sure.
Yeah.
But two teams that I feel confident. The Appalachian State Mountaineers. They'll put some moonshine in their Gatorade, and they'll just get to it. They'll get after it.
Absolutely.
They'll get rabid. They'll get feral. Once they drink that moonshine, they'll get blind, and they will just run right into you. Full speed. That's why you gotta look out for them. Because once they drink moonshine, they can't look out for you.
They can't see you.
No.
What the hell? Okay.
That's not true, by the way. Moonshine doesn't make you blind.
Sounds like something a folklore that your parents will tell you to.
It is folklore. And by the way, if you're blind, you're still great. We love you. Keep watching this.
I mean, you're kind of blind.
I have astigmatism, okay? Let's not... Anyway, final sell. I'm happy to sell this team. It's Kentucky.
I mean, they won 35-3 against EKU. Why are we selling them?
They won 35-3 against Akron.
Oh.
They won 28-17 against EKU.
Oh, my bad.
That's why I'm selling them.
I'm reading teams wrong.
Akron's garbage.
Fair enough.
The Zips are terrible.
Mm.
They named their school after the sound you make when you put on your pants.
That one went over my head.
Zip.
Oh.
They named him after your fly. Your fly right now, the one that you're wearing. That team's terrible. You don't get credit for being a terrible team, especially when you looked bad against bad teams previously.
Right.
That's why the Wildcats are gone. They're too wild for this guy. I can't handle it. And I'm replacing them with
the calm and tamed.
With another big cat in their own conference, nay, in their own division, the Missouri Tigers.
Oh, you're riding the hype train with this one.
Well, they're not ranked yet. So, yeah, I believe in them. Brady Cook has looked pretty solid this year. Got 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Looked great against Kansas State, who I still think is very good. They're still in my top 25.
There you
go. Both Kansas State and Missouri are now in the College Town playoff. Well, College Town podcast, top 25.
There you
If
go.
you want to check that out on Instagram.
There you go.
They play Memphis, who I watched. Memphis did not look that good. They're 3-0. They have not looked that good. They play Vandy, who, by the way, Kentucky plays. Kentucky plays Vandy this week. I don't trust Kentucky. I do trust Missouri.
There you go.
Yeah, so suck it, Kentucky.
Missouri's coming off a big win.
They sure are. After that, they've got LSU, little tiger-on-tiger crime, and then...
Would you look at that?
And then they've got Kentucky.
How about that?
How about that? Is this a conflict of interest? I don't think so.
I don't think you had any interest in Kentucky.
Yeah.
You just took them for their easy slate at the beginning.
Yeah, you got that right, son.
There you go.
Well, there it is. That is the rest of my portfolio, your portfolio. I don't know. We've never really established that. I don't know if we ever will.
Nope, I don't think so. We're just going to let it ride. But just to recap, the picks that you have decided are Louisville, Maryland, TCU, Fresno State. We are changing up, and we're going to Missouri as well as, I had it.
App State.
App State.
App State. The Mountaineers, baby.
There we go.
The Fighting Luke Bryans or
tune in next
whatever.
week to hear what more financial advice this man to the right of me has.
Yes, buy gold right now.
Absolutely. All right.
Put gold in your IRAs and don't look back.
All right.
All right, we got our pick'ems now.
All right, finish up the podcast. We're going to do our pick'ems right here.
Just to recap on how the season's gone.
Yeah, you're catching up.
I had a great week last week. I think I was 9-2. The total standings are Sam is 22-10. I'm 21-11. I've caught up after having a terrible week 1.
Yeah,
and him having a good week 1. I've caught up that.
And then my week 3 was very poor. My heart pick was not very hearty. Your heart pick was fantastic.
Oh, this heart, despite the heart murmur, this heart's beating strong.
You're riding off that double win of not only wanting to take Tennessee out of your top 25, but also picking against them for Florida.
Yep.
A team that I thought looked like hot garbage.
Yeah. The great thing about hypotension is that when you do a heart pick, you really have time to think about it. You know? You're calm.
There you go.
I have hypotension, fun fact.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that? Well, you know.
The more you know. Anyway, the fans, by the way, you all, are...
Y'all suck.
Yeah. Well, also, I don't think anyone stays to watch this part of the video.
You can skip through and pick them.
Yeah, so...
But you guys are a part of this.
You guys, yeah. All you guys in Mississippi, you guys are 18-14 on the year.
Man.
Only 3 games behind me.
And our cousins in Cincinnati aren't too good at this either.
Well, they don't watch, so...
Yeah, fair.
They might be great at it, who knows.
Anyway,
let's get to the picks.
How about that?
All right, how about that?
Okay.
First game. This was a much bigger game preseason.
I still think it's a big game.
It's still a big game. It was a bigger game preseason, though. We got Florida State, Clemson.
Yep.
Who you got?
Oh, give me Jordan Travis and that Seminole offense against the dinosaur that is Dabo Swinney. This is a little bit of a heart pick, too, but I really like Florida State, and I'm still believing in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. Florida State, I think they're going to win. I was high on them going into the season. I don't care that they only won by 2 points last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were probably looking ahead. All right. Next, we got Auburn versus Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm. This one was a hard one for me. Looking at it, it's like, golly, A&M just has so much talent. It's such a talented team on paper. The paper says they're so good. You know what? I think this week the paper's going to show that. I'm going to give me A&M. That hot seat's not getting any hotter. Even though I kind of want it to be because it'd be a great story to have. But give me A&M over Auburn.
Well, I'm picking the great story. Plus, the extra benefit of a second great story to go along with it.
Absolutely.
Hugh Freeze starting off 4-0 at Auburn. I'm picking Auburn to beat Texas A&M.
Honestly, I would not be that surprised to see it happen.
Nope. Next, we've got, this has become the game of the week, despite there being a top 6 matchup. Top 7 matchup, I think.
Yeah.
Top 7 matchup, yeah. Colorado versus Oregon. This is the game of the week all of a sudden because everyone keeps watching Colorado.
Right. And I think they meet their match. I keep picking against Colorado, and for some reason I'm doing it again. I really like Bo Nix. He was my Heisman hopeful. And I still think Oregon looks good. Not great, but good. Don't get me wrong, Colorado looks good. Plus, the key thing, Travis Hunter is out. Big part of that team on both sides of the ball. Give me the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, I've got Oregon as well. I just think Oregon's going to be more physical than them. And their lack of physicality on both lines was kind of exposed a little bit during the Colorado State game. Shocking, by the way, that Colorado State is the one that showed that they don't have the most physical line in the world. But I think Oregon, they've got the big uglies up front, if you will, who I'm sure are all handsome men. I don't know them personally, but I've got Oregon. Next, we've got UCLA versus Utah. Is Cam Rising going to be playing in this game? Because I've got an answer either way.
There's been mixed reports.
Give me UCLA.
Really?
Yep. Give me UCLA in this one.
Can I have a caveat for this one? If he plays, give me Utah.
No, you got to pick.
Because it's like he might play, he might not play. It's a game time decision. I really think with Utah, it really comes down to like that quarterback position because both quarterbacks have shown that they've been great and they can both be awful. One was able to find a win against Florida. The other one was able to find the win against Baylor. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe in Utah. Give me Utah.
You got Utah, all right.
I really like Cole Bishop, their safety. I think they're a decent team. Give me Utah.
Safeties win games.
Sure.
Next, we've got Ole Miss, Alabama. This is still a top 15 matchup in the AP and in our poll.
Really?
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ole Miss has looked okay to start the year. Alabama's looked not good. They're in the middle of a quarterback controversy in week 4. Give me Ole Miss.
Really?
Give me Ole Miss.
Well, no, what's crazy is that before you said that, I was with you. And I'm still going to be with you. Give me Ole Miss.
Yeah.
For the sole reason of that, I think Alabama is going to be the story of the week in that, let's see where they are.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's going to be a long fall from grace for them.
I got a question. If Alabama starts the year off 2-2, there are only 2 losses being to the only 2 teams that are worth anything that they've played. Is Saban on the hot seat?
Hell no. Saban's got.
Yeah, but if they're 2-2, it might look like he's lost a step.
Is he not allowed to have one bad season? Is he not
For
allowed
Alabama standards, it might be 2 bad seasons.
I mean,
Not making the playoff 2 years in a row.
it might be the beginning of it because it's one thing to have one bad season.
But at what point do you get a succession plan in place, seeing the writing on the wall that, like, okay, this guy, not what he was?
But also, it's not only about getting rid of him. It's also about who's better than him to go and get.
If you're Alabama, you can get just about anybody.
Could you?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think so.
I don't think you can get like Lincoln Riley. I don't think you can get Kirby Smart. I don't think you'll be able to even pull Jim Harbaugh from Michigan.
You picked 3 guys. Kirby Smart played at Georgia. Harbaugh played at Michigan.
No, but I'm saying like, who has a coach right now is better than Saban that you would want to go pull and get? Like, who is the guy in college football right now that's like available? Because I mean, if you can't go get your guy,
You could get a guy that's not available.
right?
You're Alabama. You can get a guy that's not available.
Exactly, but who is the guy?
Lane Kiffin.
You're joking. Really?
Why not? I don't know. All right. Well,
Ole Miss.
We're both picking Ole Miss in that one. Next, we got BYU, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams undefeated.
Yeah, both teams look decent. Give me Jalen Daniels. Give me Kansas. That's another one. Is he playing? Golly, all these injured quarterbacks.
All right. Well,
You like your Mormons?
I'm picking Kansas. I've got Kansas in my top 25. I like what I've seen from BYU this year. I really like BYU's coach. Keaton Slovis seems like he's playing more like he was his freshman year at USC versus other seasons that he's been in college. I think BYU's good, but give me Kansas.
There you go. Give me Kansas as well, if I wasn't clear on that.
Next, we've got Oregon State versus Washington State, the Pac-2.
Which is now a ranked matchup, surprisingly enough.
Yeah. It is a top AP ranked matchup, not a College Town Podcast ranked matchup.
In my rankings, it would have been.
Well, yeah. Look, Washington State was like just outside for me. But
they're at 25 for me.
they were like 26-ish.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Fair enough.
Who you got?
Give me DJ. Give me the Beavers.
Yeah. Give me Uya Ungalale.
He looks like a brand new quarterback since leaving Clemson.
Yeah. All right, we're going to skip around. We're going to go to Iowa versus Penn State.
Happy Valley. Is Iowa even going to be able to score enough points to beat Penn State?
I don't think Iowa's going to score a point.
Really? You think Penn State's defense is...
Their defense looks good.
You don't really have to have that good of a defense to stop Iowa's offense. It's just a matter of can you put points up against Iowa. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Just can your offense score against... If your offense can score against Iowa, you're probably going to win.
Yeah, there's definitely potential for that to be a boring game. One that I'm looking forward to because I can't wait for Iowa to not be ranked anymore. I don't think they're good.
I'm starting to join you on that.
Yes. Okay. All right, so we're both picking Penn State?
Yeah, we're both picking Penn State.
UCF versus Kansas State.
Give me Kansas State to bounce back.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas State in that one too. I really like Central Florida this year, honestly. I do. I think going into the year I was saying that they were going to be better than people were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the Big 12 is going to be as much of a learning curve for them as a lot of people thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same thing about Cincinnati and BYU. I think it's not going to be as much a drop-off as people were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Kansas State's going to win. Kansas State's coming off that loss. They're going to be hungry. They're going to be focused. Also, Chris Kleiman's just really good.
He's a good coach.
He's a really good coach.
He's a great coach.
He could be Alabama's next coach. I'd hire him. I'd hire him if I were the AD.
Too surprised with it, but I feel like they would stay in the SEC or are very powerful. But this is on the caveat that Ole Miss beats Alabama, and we're talking about Saban being on the hot seat next week. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
We got another SEC matchup. This one I just found very interesting. It's not the sexiest matchup in the world. It's 2-1 Mississippi State versus 1-2 South Carolina.
I feel like South Carolina is a good team, and I said it preseason. I felt like they were a decent team. I just feel like they ran into better teams in their schedules. And that's the reason why they've lost. Ran into Alabama. They've ran into
Georgia.
UNC. Oh, my bad. Georgia. They ran into Georgia, and they ran into North Carolina. And I feel like they're a good team, and I still believe that. And I'm like, give me South Carolina over Mississippi State.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's going to be interesting, though, if they do lose this game, because this is a toss-up.
In a way, yeah, I could see it. But
Mississippi State, Will Rogers is a very good quarterback. They've got a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that game, because if they do lose and start the year off 1-3, that's a huge letdown from where they were projected.
Oh, yeah.
Going into the year.
But also, it's like, I feel like they were projected to lose against Georgia, obviously, and they were projected to lose against North Carolina, just barely.
Depends on who you ask.
So, according to the spread and, all that other stuff. So, it's not crazy to think that they were looking at the schedule that they would start 1-2. Now, 1-3 against this Mississippi State team would be interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I assume our game of the week.
Yes, our game of the week. It's Ohio State versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
We got Ohio State, which finally seems to have clicked on offense. Finally seems to have clicked against Western. It's with McCord at quarterback. And then Notre Dame, who you think has looked like a buzzsaw this year.
They look really good. I think you're going to have no surprise on who I'm picking here. Give me the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, this game, I think it's going to be very similar to last year. I think it's going to be low scoring, grinded out type of game. I think the difference is Notre Dame is going to come out in this one, and I think it's because that defense is really good, and there's too many questions for Ohio State, in my opinion.
Wow.
They did it once against Western Kentucky. So I've got the Fighting Irish as well. Even though I think potentially this game, if Ohio State gets pressure and is able to get pressure on Sam Hartman, he could look real bad.
Yeah,
he
were
could
saying
look
that before.
Real bad.
Yeah.
And that could be the blueprint.
So, just to recap it, our differences are Auburn, A&M, and...
I picked UCLA.
And I picked Utah. That's the only differences.
Yeah, there's not a lot of...
Yeah.
Look at that.
How about that?
Well, we'll see what you guys do. You guys seem to suck at this.
Yeah.
But,
thanks for watching, guys.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.